Now, if you've been on the internet for more than a few hours and are even remotely familiar with the characters Mario and Sonic, you may have seen this horrifying image of the two characters style swapped, appropriately under the subreddit "Thanks, I Hate It." Witness it, Mario's weird, elongated limbs and bulbous hands, and Sonic's deformed, wide face, losing all sharp charm and becoming incredibly similar to this beauty. But wait a minute, did I just say style swap? These aren't style swaps, it's just each character wearing the other one's skin. And you know what? I'm sick and tired of people always pointing to this when discussing style swaps. And fun fact about me, I'm an aspiring character designer. So let's give the juggernauts of video games the Freaky Friday they deserve. Also, a little thing of note before we begin, this won't be a true style swap, because if that was the case and we went off Sonic's human designs for Mario, then he would either be just some guy or Eggman with a hat. Rather, this will be applying the recognizable base of these characters into the other one's role. So in this case, Sonic would have to bash his head against bricks and question mark blocks, and Princess Peach has developed a weird interest in loop-de-loops. And once again, I am an aspiring character designer, meaning that what I make won't be perfect, and on top of that, I'm not much of a Sonic fan, so I might get a bit of this wrong. I might even make a remake of this video in the future. Let's look at that. Now, without further ado, let's start on a high note with...
You're too slow!
Now, when designing a video game character, as with designing anything, it's important to start with the philosophy of what this character is, and is capable of, and then designing a body around that. Thus, since we're taking the world's favorite monochromatic member of Aaron-ish 80 out of his sneakers and putting him into Mario's... clogs? We need to know the arsenal behind those shoes. So, what is Mario capable of? Well, default Mario can run, jump, and stomp on enemies. Okay, we're not separating much from Sonic here. Wait! The true power of Mario, the power-ups! Now there are a myriad of superpowers at this pesky plumber's disposal, but for this video we will focus on 3. The mushroom, the fire flower, and the star. Now this might not seem like much, but this offers great insight into what we should design. Keeping this brief, but not less than 10 minutes brief, let's be honest here, the mushroom turns Mini Mario into regular Mario, giving him an extra chance to get hit, unlike Sonic who just has to pay life insurance. Now this might not seem like much, but this would imply that there is a mini Sonic. How cute! And this also means that the tall Sonic should be noticeable as such. The Fire Flower is a power-up that gives Mario a ranged projectile and turns his suit from red and blue to white and red. With that same logic, we should give Sonic a simple design, with 2 main colors as the lead. Let's go with blue and white, obviously. And when powered up, he should be white and red, respectively, to contrast with his environment and his primarily red enemies. Lastly, the superstar here, replaced by a certain chaotic gem, if you know what I mean. This makes the perfect opportunity to bring back Super Sonic. And since that entails making him pure gold instead of rainbow, let's give him a different visual effect, saying he's unstoppable. Something like an asteroid. So now, let's get to the design. The purpose of a good design is to tell the viewer everything we need to know about the character. Since Mario and Sonic will be switching roles, it makes sense to have Sonic act more Mario-like. Thus, we need this design to be as simple and outwardly friendly as possible. Oh, and if you're wondering what's in the background, it's a quick dual grid. Essentially, I make 20 squares and draw a character in each one, but I'm given a limited amount of time to make them, in this case, 20 seconds. This forces me to think quickly and come up with ideas I normally wouldn't. As you can see through this progression, I got the idea, hey, in a Sonic game where he doesn't use his quills, why would he stay a hedgehog? So I experimented with rabbits, mice, and even a bear, but ultimately stuck with the former 2. Now let's get to the background story. Long, long ago, in the ancient time of 1981, Shigeru Naka wanted to create a game for his company, Segtendo, a game that can rival even the likes of Man Pack. Up and go. So in order to get some initial interest, he decided to use the recognizable Disney character Oswald the Lucky Rabbit, but Walt Disney himself said, "Nah fam," direct quote by the way, unintentionally dooming the character to a death by irrelevancy. So Shigeru decided to take the L and create his own character, and this arcade game exploded anyway. Originally, the main character was just named Rabbit, but when moving to the US for the release of Tendo's first home console, Tendo of America couldn't resist making their own little word pun, and thus, Sonny the Bunny became the face of video games. Unfortunately, this first design sucked ass, so I remade it just for you guys. If you like my actions here, there are a few buttons below that you should press. So, how are the powers? As for Little Sonic, I decided I should go back to the mouse design as another nod to his origins, and because last time I checked, mice are smaller than rabbits. I also made a red mushroom a ring because I'm a smarty pants. Next up, after I give this cute itsy bitsy bunny a flamethrower, I decide that maybe he should throw things with his ears. And last but not least, the emerald turns him into a speeding comet, soaring across the sky and destroying everything in his path. Except a slight ledge. Now with him finally out of the way, let's get to... Mamma mia! Alright, now we go the other way around and turn Mario into Sonic. Largely the same process here. So this is a good point not only to discuss the differences in style between these two games, but how they are different on basically everything except the basic fundamentals. You see, Mr. Mario, his actual last name by the way, demands simplicity, not only because he's like 9 pixels, but because of the variety of different forms he takes. But as for Skedaddly Boy over here, his power-ups are just a bubble and some sparkly stuff. It's clear Sonic is more about the base gameplay rather than any bits and bobs you can add to it. That combined with this higher pixel count means we can afford a much more complex character. Wait! Jeez, slow down, there's still some things to talk about. We can't get too complex due to the high-speed nature of Sonic. This is where we get into color association. Sonic is obviously blue, no kidding, but you should have a look at his enemies. Every single one is distinctly colored, and those that are blue have tones of red, making your main, ultra fragile characters stand out. Another great example is the environment. Green Hill Zone is obviously green, but other maps are purple, yellow, bird, orange, and their color palette is often muted, especially the blue. All these aspects are centered around the ideology that Speedy Gonzales needs to stand out, so a distinct, bright, simple color palette is very important. Finally, look at the sprite sheet. It reeks of expressiveness. No matter what pose he's in, you can always tell what he's thinking and how he feels. Especially compared to old Mario. Hell, even new Mario. What's he even thinking? His facial expressions range from a blank stare to possibly angry to ah! So lastly, a clear personality is necessary. Now, for the design. Also, for this dual grid, I used 45 seconds and not 20 just to make it clear that the rules are not solid. Now, unlike Sonic, who went through a whole heap of designs before I figured anything out, remember I couldn't even determine the species, Mario, on the other hand, had his design figured out very early on, with very little in the way of variation. This reached a point where the last few frames, I made sure he could express himself. So you would expect that coming up, the final design would be easy, right? The only changes being a mustache and a very phallic Spike becoming 2 shields? Well, no, just look at the proportions. A more complex design is easy to get right, but hard to get consistent. Eventually I got there, but let this function more as a lesson that just because you draw something once doesn't mean you can draw it again. Now for the real life story. Not so long ago in 1991, Yuji Miyamoto and his friends wanted to create a game that could compete with Sonny the Bunny and propel their company into stardom. Many designs and concepts were submitted, but not one could be settled upon. So they went to York, the old one, and presented to random residents a dog, a hedgehog, and a guy. The video game industry being saturated with anthropomorphic animals, they chose the guy. A few more drawings later, and eventually, Mighty Dwarf was created. Most of the other drawings I did were of a tornado replacing the blue ball, and some images of how he would act. So, yeah, that's how I believe they would be styled in each other's world. Hopefully I showed you at least some of the differences in the physiological philosophy they possess. Yeah, for one, sorry for taking so long to get this out. But on the bright side, I think I finally found a good work ethic. I only wish it didn't take me realizing I've got a month without content and pulling an all-nighter. Yeah, sorry. So, more content coming up. I'm making the goal here that I should get at least 2 shorts out before a month's end. I know you're just here for the ARC stuff anyway, so day 8's on its way. And of course, feel free to leave a comment for me. A constructive criticism would be awesome. And if you want to see me more of Sonic and Mario characters or maybe other franchises, still let me know in the comments. I'd rather be the guy who earns a subscriber rather than ask. So have a great rest of your day, and don't perish!